If your parents pass away young, it's only natural to wonder whether or not you'll have the same outcome. And how does it affect your financial planning if you don't believe you're going to have a long retirement? Well, today we're going to hone in on a specific question and address Social Security. If you feel this way, is it better off to start as early as you can? We're going to unpack a question coming up with Dennis. Welcome into Dollars with Dennis. I am Ben George with Dennis Hoare, founder and president of Faith 401k and Money Management. Social Security, a big topic, Dennis, as always, right? I mean, this is something you want to get right, need to get right, and it's a big part of retirement.
Oh my gosh. Social Security is a big pin and lots of questions, lots of debates, and lots of opinions from everywhere you look, for sure. So it's a great topic to dig into a little bit more.
Yeah, we're not going to get into debates about whether or not Social Security will be around, what it'll look like down the road. Today, it's all about trying to decide a claiming strategy. And specifically this question I want to break down with you, Dennis. It's this. My father died in his late 60s and my mother died in her early 70s. So I'm not planning to have much longevity myself. Does that mean I should start Social Security as early as I can? So let's kind of unpack this a little bit, Dennis. And I just want to start with the idea of that, hey, my family history is going to help me determine how long I should plan for retirement. How reliable is that from what you've seen and the work you've done?
It's a starting place. I think, again, we have to have a plan. So if we know where we're going and how we get there and have a great plan, then whether we start early or late is going to be dependent on that plan. Because what your parents did, so I can take an example myself. My mother died at 61 from colon cancer. But does that mean I'm going to die at that age and so forth? Then I look back to my grandfather who lived to be 97. And so I take my mental task is say I want to outlive what my grandfather did. So I'll live to 103. But I don't think any of us have control over that. But there are some factors that really play a role in that. But it's not just what our parents did.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, right? There's so many different factors that could extend your life expectancy beyond, your parents and beyond what you maybe think is going to happen. I know there's obviously been a lot in medical advances, but the lifestyle you live and just different habits and stuff you do can really change and affect that.
It does. So, if your parents died really young and they were smokers or alcoholics or didn't exercise all over, didn't do any of the right things, and you are on the other spectrum, you're doing a lot of the right things. You can have a totally different outcome. It's an indicator. It's something to watch for, but we want to plan for that. But it's not foolproof. I don't think any of us are playing God, but we want to plan so that we have the best chance to have enough money in retirement, whether we die early or we live long, because living long is the challenge.
All right, well, let's talk about Social Security a little bit then, Dennis, and this idea of claiming early. So for those who don't know, haven't really dug into Social Security that much and don't understand the claiming quite as much, how does filing early affect those lifetime benefits, even if you do have a shorter retirement?
Yeah, so the earliest you can file is age 62, and that's the lowest percentage of money you'll get from Social Security. And some people have that argument that I'm only going to live to be 70, so I'm going to collect at 62 and get as much as I can when I can. But every number that goes on beyond that, every year you go beyond, you go to 65, it's a better number. 67, if you're born in 1960, is your full retirement age, which lets you continue to work and not pay taxes on that. And then finally, 70 is the maximum point you can get Social Security, or the most you can get. So every year it goes up by 8%. So if you locked in at $2,000 a month, let's say at age 62, if you waited to 70, it might be $3,200 a month. And so if your budget can't take that pay change, you might want to have a plan that helps you get there and make sure those numbers work for you. And really, there's a lot of good tools to figuring out what's the best age for you individually to take Social Security.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out that age. And I'm curious how you do that, Dennis. I know you've been doing this for a number of decades now and work with clients all the time on figuring out Social Security claiming strategy. So what kinds of analysis do you run to help somebody figure out that answer?
Yeah, so our planning software will take in the age factors. It'll do Social Security maximization. And think about that, what I mentioned before. If you at 62, you're getting $2,000 a month. but you end up living to 90 or 95. So $2,000 a month at 90 or 95 is the inflation adjusted number to maybe $1,000 a month, or everything else is going up. So that puts a lot of pressure on anything else you do. So we want to make sure that we have enough other resources that can be invested long term. Because my fear is not dying too soon. The fear should be, if I live too long, how do I pay for things at 90 or 95 years old? And we want to plan for that.
Just in general, do most of your clients lean one way or the other, early, late, full retirement age? Is there just kind of any kind of general thing that you see?
If they're taking our advice or reading their plan, there's usually some logical patterns that get them to a good place. And if they have enough other resource, they have Roth money that they can take earlier. There's different pockets or buckets of money. We'll help them get to the right decision. And so if they're our client, then most of the time they're going to take our advice, or they're probably not a good client to have. If we think they should wait longer to take Social Security, we're going to point that out and give them some good reasons why. And building a plan does that for them. And that's what we hope to get a good fit with somebody that needs advice, wants to learn and grow, but wants us to help them get there. And that's part of the whole process of planning, and Social Security is a big factor in that whole process.
Well, if you want to kind of go through that process with Dennis again, go to 401k.faith and begin talking about Social Security and what that could look like for you, and what the options might be, and what the best outcome potentially could be for you. But when you kind of back out a little bit more on this question, Dennis, and just thinking about, hey, if anyone has this concern that, okay, maybe I'm going to have a shorter life, whatever the reason might be, what are some other things, any other considerations within financial planning in general, not just Social Security, that they should be thinking about?
Yeah. So having different buckets of money, whether it's pre-tax money, Roth money, cash money, that kind of stuff. But and if they do feel like they need to take Social Security earlier, if they have other resources, take the Social Security payment earlier and then invest that money till a bit later, so you have a chance for that to grow, because your Social Security is not going to grow with the numbers that the 8% you get by waiting longer. So we want to come up with a plan that helps them make a good projection, makes them comfortable when they start retirement. Well, we've had several clients go ahead and turn on Social Security at 65 or 67, but we just draft that right into an investment account for 3 or 4 years, and that does a world of good. Because the other problem in retirement is too many people come out of retirement with qualified money or pre-tax money only. They don't have a lot of resources. So when they do have an emergency, they're on a fixed income. They get a tax budget, if you will, and then emergency comes and they have to pull money out of their 401k or IRA, and that causes more taxes. So we want to plan for those emergencies and have buckets to be able to take money in retirement that doesn't change your tax bracket. That's important, even though taxes will change.
Yeah. All these different areas of planning, right? It's why you want to sit down with a professional. And Dennis, what would you say to someone that maybe would say, hey, look, I don't plan to have a long retirement. You know, if they have these same concerns, planning doesn't really matter, because I'm not worried about running out of money because I won't live a long time. Would you agree with that? Is planning less important if you don't feel like you have a long retirement?
I think it's more important. I think knowing what money you have and how long it'll last in case you happen to miss that target, it's even more important to know where the money's come from. If you think you're going to die by 65 and you live to 70, that could wreck your whole life, and you got 5 years to live without enough money, and that's not what we want. We want to plan, err on the side of caution, take the long view. Even if somebody does die early, there's things they can do with that money that's left over to charity, to family members, stuff like that. So there's plenty of things we can help and coach with that. But don't take the short side. I think if they're planning on taking it earlier, that's even more important to have a good plan in place.
All right, very good. Well, to close out this one, then just remember, it's more than just when your parents passed away and determining how long you should plan for retirement. And, it's about putting all these little pieces together, right? A smart Social Security decision is going to blend facts, projections, and priorities, going to work all these things together and figure out what's best for you so that you have a claim and you can claim with confidence, right? That's the ultimate goal indeed. So again, get in touch with Dennis. He's been doing it for more than 30 years. Happy to sit down with you, talk about your Social Security, look at your 401k, talk about any area of financial planning and retirement that you might be curious about, and start talking about how to help get you there, the best path forward. So again, 401k.faith, the best place to start. Dennis, as always, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ben. Have a great day.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth.